Good evening, everyone. It is the Ask Dr. Renee show. I am your host, Dr. Renee. For those of you that are new to the show, this show is here to motivate and inspire you, excuse me, motivate and inspire you to live the life that you deserve. On Tuesdays, we have Trep Tuesdays. So I try to feature a different entrepreneur every Tuesday, and they can, they can take us through their journey of becoming an entrepreneur and tell us about their business and decided to live the life that they deserve. So some entrepreneur was Andrea Butler of Sassy Mag. She started her own magazine. We had Tanisha Jackson Warner. She created Igami Consulting, her own marketing and advertising firm, marketing and branding firm. And so tonight we have Jonna Scott Blakes of Naturally Glam. It's naturally-glam.com. And she'll net what makes us naturally glam and how she started this blog that turned more than I'm sure she ever thought it would be. So thank you, Jonna, for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Let me remind you guys, if you have questions, because we charge for this information. So you might want to ask your questions while you can get them free. So if you have questions, YouTube and my executive producer will to ask Dr. Renee, or use the hashtag Ask Dr. Renee. And if you're on Google Plus, there are some squares in the upper right hand corner, 9 white squares. Click on that. It'll say Q&A. Click on Q&A, and then a screen will drop to the right side of your screen, and then you can type in your questions and enter them there, and they'll pop up right on our screens. So let's get into it. So Jonna, when did you start Naturally Glam?
Well, I started Naturally Glam in January of 2012. But the backstory is I actually already had a blog maybe for about a year and a half before I started Naturally Glam. So I don't talk about that blog, and I tell people, if you were fortunate enough to know about that blog, then just consider yourself fortunate enough to know about that blog. I don't talk about it. I will not reveal it. If you want to know more about it, you have to sign up for my small blog, Big Success e-course. I do talk about the old prior blog on the course as I go through it, just as as shameless example. But yeah, so I started the blog in January 2012.
So let's go back. So what made you start a blog, period?
Okay, so what made me start a blog was I actually decided to go natural in December 2008. And when I did that, I remember there not being a lot of people who were natural. I think I was the only person in my circle of family, circle of friends. It was kind of like what are you doing and why are you doing that? So there wasn't anybody around me that I could really ask questions. I just had one person that I knew who had natural hair. And so I was always asking her questions. And so she turned me on to YouTube, and she turned me on to what I didn't know at the time were blogs. I just thought they were sites on the internet. The concept of a blog or blogging was foreign to me. So what I started doing was, as my hair was growing and that people started to see the different styles that I was doing, and the natural hair started to be a little more trendy or more popular, more people were talking about it. So as that started happening, people were asking questions. And so I would kind of tell them about the different sites I was going to. And then that kind of developed into people giving out my phone number. That's how that started. People were giving out my phone number, and I was getting phone calls in the middle of the night, all times of the day and night, from people I didn't know, as saying, so-and-so told me to call you, you know about this natural hair thing. So can you tell me this? Can you tell me that? And I don't even know some of these people. Like, I really didn't know them at all. So I'm like, okay, I need to manage just a little bit better. So I said, can you guys give people this email address? give him this email address. And I set up the email address. It was a childhood nickname that I had, and which was the old name of my old blog, by the way. So I had this email address, and this was before I had the blog. I just had a Yahoo email address. And so I said, just give them this email address instead of giving them my personal phone number. And then I started getting more and more people emailing me saying, hey, so-and-so told me to email you. I have these questions about natural hair. So then I started what I now know to be an email newsletter. I was basically like sending out these emails once a week of like different articles and stuff that I found. And, you know, after Yahoo was like, girl, you can't send out emails to 100 people at one time. That's called spam. You can't do that. Because by this time, I had gone from just a few people
Oh, wow.
to like 100
I
something
never knew
emails.
that would happen.
Yeah, Yahoo was like, no, you can't do that. And that's spam and no. And so then I had to start like sending the email out 10 emails at a time or like 15 emails at a time. It was just crazy. My girlfriend at the time was taking a marketing class, and in the marketing class, she had to start a blog, a fake blog. So what she did was basically made the first Naturally Glam based off of these emails that I was sending. So she's like, well, basically, I just took the idea of like sharing natural hair and I put it on this blog. And then she was like, why don't you do that? I'm like, I don't even do what? So she's like, why don't you start a blog? I don't even really know what a blog is. I really didn't even understand it. So when she explained it to me and I realized, okay, so curlynikki.com is a blog. Naturally Curly is a blog. These are all blogs. All these sites that I have been going to all this time, they're actually blogs. So I says, okay, that sounds easy enough. And then I started the old blog, and then that's how it tumbled into what we now know as Naturally Glam. It's a crazy story.
So quickly, for those that don't already know, what's your brief definition of what a blog is?
I say my brief definition of a blog is a website with ever-changing content versus, you know, you have websites that have just static content. You know, like if you go to your hair salon, they probably have a website, and it's probably just their hours of operation, the services they offer, their prices, and that's it. It doesn't change. It is what it is. A blog is something that's ever changing. You're always adding new fresh content. Some people use it as an online journal. I use it as a resource, as a place to provide information, but it's always changing. That's, people say, what's the difference? That's the big difference between what makes a blog different from a website is it's ever changing. It should be always changing.
I like that. That's a good definition. So how did you come up with Naturally Glam?
Okay, so ain't nothing but God. Literally, that was not even a plan. What happened was I honestly wasn't even thinking about relaunching the blog. I was kind of fine with the blog that I had, and I actually was kind of getting some recognition for the old blog that shall remain nameless. And my husband, he didn't like the name, so hopefully he don't kill me for telling this part of the story. So he'll be all right. So he didn't like the name because the person who gave me the name was a boyfriend, high school boyfriend. So he didn't like that I was using the name. So he didn't like it. And so I said, I need to find another name for this blog because I'm not trying to break up my marriage behind a blog name. And you know, I had to be respectful that if it made him, you know, feel some type of way, like, okay, let me find another name for the blog. So in the meantime, in between time, I was planning a fashion show actually. And Naturally Glam was actually the name that I had for the fashion show. But I just kept having this like nudging feeling that that name was supposed to be more than just the fashion show, because it was just going to be a one-time thing. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to not waste the name, but I was like, I don't know if I want to use this name for this fashion show and then it's going to go away. And then I kind of like this name. And so that, you know, that little whisper, the little nudge kept hitting me. And I said, you know what, let me just put that name to the side until I figure out exactly what I want to do with it. And I came up with another name for the fashion show. And then I just woke up one morning at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Sunday at 5 o'clock is when I get all of my ideas. I literally got woken up out of my sleep, and it was like, okay, that's the name of the blog. You need to change this whole blog. You know, why don't you use that for the name? That will make, you know, hubby happy. And it also it speaks more to what your direction that you want to go with this. Because this was like a crossroads. You know, where are you going to go with this blog? And that's when I started also learning that, okay, this is not just something you can do for hobby. This is something you can use to make an income. And I really enjoyed it. So I was like, okay, I need to go ahead and make the transition. So that's where Naturally Glam came from. It was just a God hookup.
So you come up with the name. So then how did you get the logo?
Okay, so I had a girlfriend who was a graphic designer, and I actually worked with her. Because I was doing some event coordination for hire. So she was the graphic designer for the flyer for one of the events that I was doing. I was coordinating. And so I just reached out to her because I loved her work. And she was like, oh, sure, I can kind of design your logo. And I kind of told her what I had in mind was the words glam. I wanted it to be like in the Hollywood lights, kind of look like those big Hollywood lights. And so I want the word glam to be like that, but then I want the word naturally to sort of like be like the opposite of that, but still kind of go together. So that's all I gave her. And I just told her I wanted it to be red, black, and white. And I shipped it off, and she came back with the logo, and that's been the one. It's just worked. It was just exactly what I wanted.
I know that you have your Naturally Glam trademarked. Also, I did notice too when I was tagging stuff, there's somebody else that says Naturally Glam too.
Oh, really? Who? Oh, do I need to send
her
this
name.
cease and desist? Now, okay, so the cool thing about, and cool maybe not so cool, is that with trademarking, it kind of depends on what the person is talking about. So there are some other Naturally Glams, but they're in a different class of what they do. So
because I think she was close. I could be wrong.
Right. So some people, they may have like a clothing boutique. Somebody else may be a hairstylist or a makeup artist. I've actually come across a handful of makeup artists who they're Naturally Glam by Keisha or whoever. So since they're not in, then they're not, they are what is called, like, they are distinguishable in the market. So if you go to that person's site and you go to my site, you should anyway, at least from the research that I've done, is you won't come across another Naturally Glam website that's doing what I'm doing. There could be a Naturally Glam website that could be talking about lawn care service. That's all great, fine, and dandy. Knock yourself out. Because it's very hard to say that, oh, well, them having a blog that says Naturally Glam lawn care is really going to confuse the consumer with what my blog or what my website is about. So there you may find another Naturally Glam. I actually have had another Naturally Glam who was in the natural hair space, and they had to change their name because I was already there. Sorry. And it was a very awkward, difficult situation. The person was very upset. They were very upset, but that's why you have a lawyer, and that's why the lawyer handles that. And I didn't have to reach out to the person, and she basically cussed him out. And, you know, that's what he's getting paid. You know, he's getting paid to get cussed out by people who are mad, and that's okay. And it was a learning experience for me. But yeah, you know, and you do have to take time to look and say, oh, is anybody using this? Every once in a while, I even go to the trademark site and check. is anybody else using this? Is anybody else trademarked? And what are they trying to do? You have to be diligent about it if you want to, you know, you just don't go out and get the trademark for nothing. You have to be diligent. And you some people may say it's mean, or you're not you know, being a team player, and you're like, you know, they may feel like that, but you got to do what you have to do. You have to protect your brand.
Exactly. That's what it boils down to at the end of the day, is you got to protect your brand. So if that's your name and you're the one that put the work in behind it,
that's right.
Then you got to do, yeah.
Since 2012.
Right.
That's right.
So you didn't trademark it yourself. You hired someone to do it?
Yes, I did. And that was a hard decision because it's not cheap. By any stretch of the word. But I just wanted to feel more comfortable knowing that it was done right and they could do more than I could do. I mean, I could go and I could fill out the paperwork, but can I really do a thorough search? How do I know that I'm doing a thorough search? Do I really understand the trademark laws to know that, okay, you know, what my rights are and what I can and can't do? I mean, that's something that the lawyer knew that I didn't know. And there was even things like, so there was a person who was using the name, and the person that I had to send the cease and desist to, they basically switched the name in the opposite. So they put glam first and then natural. And I said, no, I don't want them to do that. I want them to change. And he said, you can't make them change it because it's now distinguishable. It is now a totally different phrase. Like, it's totally different. It is distinguishable. Glam natural is not the same as naturally glam. It's distinguishable in the market. And she could argue that. And do you really want to argue that? You know? No, I really don't want to argue that. You know, do I want to be petty? I didn't want to be petty. Like, you know, I felt like, okay, if you're going to change it and my lawyer is advising me, you know, do you really want to go through all of this or not? It's like, okay. But see, I would not have known that. Some people don't even know that what rights they do have. Even if you don't register your trademark, like, you still have rights. If you can prove that you did it first before that person did it, you still have rights. You can take action towards. You still have those rights. The trademarking just solidifies it and just gives you a little, you know, more power behind when you drop that cease and desist letter. So
when did that happen?
Oh, that was in when did I trademark, or when did the issue?
No. When did the person try to use your name?
Oh gosh, when was that? Oh, I can't remember. It was maybe like a year ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was like a year ago. It was very recent, and I was just shocked because what kind of hurt my feelings was that it wasn't that the person didn't know I existed. They were fully aware, and it wasn't her fault. Some people just they start things and they aren't knowledgeable. And I think we've all done it. I mean, when I started my blog, I wasn't thinking about trademarking. I wasn't thinking about that. I just picked a name. I just did it. I just went and bought the website, and I was like, okay. NaturallyGlam.com was taken. That's why I did the dash. And I never thought, like, oh, is this somebody else's site? But this site didn't exist. Somebody just had purchased the domain. So I'm like, okay, well, shoot, they just don't want to use, they've been squatting on the site for years. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But I didn't think about it. So I figured, like, with her, she might not have known. And just the way she responded, I could tell, okay, maybe she didn't understand. She didn't understand how this works. And I find that a lot of people that I talk to, they just don't understand how these parts of business work. They have no clue that, no, you can't just use that word or use that name. You can't do that. And people don't know. And so they feel like, oh, you're coming down on me. You have your lawyer send me this letter, you know, and they feel like you're attacking them, but they just don't understand. This is the part of business that's not personal. This is just business. And, you know, hopefully she learned a lesson. And, you know, I think people would think about it if they thought, wow, if that was me and I had built this brand, you know, blood, sweat, and tears, and somebody was using the same name as me and people were going to their Instagram page and not coming to mine, I think they would understand. It's almost like, you know, people that always complain about not getting invited to parties, but they never, ever have a party. And then when they have a party, they're like, I can't believe she's upset because she didn't get an invitation. I'm like, who, you? You? The person that's like on your Facebook when you, I always joke about this, you post something on Facebook saying, oh, you went out to dinner or whatever. And they're like, oh, you didn't invite me. I'm like, girl, you was just out to eat 3 days ago. Where was my invitation? So I just think people just don't even think that far out. Like, okay, this is affecting somebody else's business. And so I got to take it seriously.
That, well, I mean, I think I remember when you posted about the person trying to use your name. I think I remember that vaguely.
That was
You're right.
tough.
I think it was a year ago. Mm-hmm.
That was hard, but
that would be eye-opening. But
yeah,
I'm glad you made it through that. That's lovely. So when you first started, I know you had a free WordPress site. So you were WordPress.blogspot.com.
Yes. Yes, I was.
And then you went to self-hosting,
Right.
which is, you know, agree. I know that everyone should self-host because guess what, you guys? WordPress doesn't like what you post. Your whole website could be gone in a matter of seconds without you. Just one day it was there and the next day it was gone. And trust me, it's happened to people. So it is in your very best interest that you get a self-hosted website because then, you know, you can control what is said, what is not said, and you have, you know, you can take down and put up whatever you want, and no one else can do anything.
It's not expensive. It's not expensive.
Not, yeah.
I think people think it's so expensive. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not at all.
Yeah, I think there's like, I think the one we started with, I think is like $30 a year. That's not that. Domain names are not expensive. You can get a domain name for $99 today.
I was just telling somebody that.
Domain names, that's the first thing you need to do. If you don't know, you need to get a domain name and you need to get a hosting service. And hosting just means basically it's like the people that own the building and you own the apartment in the building. So the domain name's the apartment in the building. So you have to have some place to live on the internet. And so that's what the hosting is. It's just a place for your website to live. So you pay them annually. And that's how you have your, you know, your little place. They have, you know, different sizes as far as how big your website can get, and how many email addresses you can have, and how many, etc. Not that expensive for you to have, throw your shingle out and have your own place on the web at your spot. And I also wear own email addresses. I'm a real stickler on that. Like I think if you're in business, you should have an email address.
I agree.
I got from @Gmail and stuff because I have, oh my God, a plethora of emails. Our hosting is like any as you like. So you know, so we got customer service. We just know it. I think that's really important too. So, you know, for those that are just starting out, that's a little tip that you should get. Domain name, 99 cents. Get your hosting. Get your email addresses.
Yes.
So did you create your first website?
Actually, my first website, well, it was on WordPress. Everything has been on WordPress. I've always just used I was using like the free themes. And then last year I got snazzy and I purchased the theme. And, you know, this year I decided to go ahead and get one just custom made because it didn't do what I wanted it to do. And also I felt like I'm starting to teach, I'm starting to, coach, and my site, it looks just like a run-of-the-mill blog. And I'm like, I feel like you have to, if you want to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. And I wanted my site to be an example. I wanted to be able to have a site that the bloggers that take my class can feel like they can aspire to. I don't want to have to, even though I do take people and show them different blogs, just because I think it helps when people see a blog that has the same topic that they talk about. So I'm not a mommy blogger. So I would like to show them somebody who has a mommy blog site and say, look at this site. It's amazing, blah, blah, blah. But, I don't want to have to take everybody to other sites and be like, oh, this is a site I think is great. And this is one I think is great. And I can't even go to my own site and feel like it is great. So I said, you know what, it's an investment. It was an investment. So I went ahead and invested in that. It was an investment. But so is everything. It's like trademarking, that's an investment. Paying for your domain name, taking classes, it's all an investment. But if you want to be a business, then, it takes investment. I think people think that just because it's online, it's almost like the fact that it's online makes it not real. It's almost like, oh, this isn't a real brick and mortar. I think when people own a brick and mortar business, they take it a whole lot serious because they have to pay rent every month, and they have to pay an electric bill, and they have to have employees, and they have to actually unlock a door and lock the door at night. And so when people start these online businesses, I don't think everybody takes it seriously because it's virtual, but it works just like any other business. You need a business plan. You need to invest in your business, especially if you want people to drop coins on you. If you want people to make it rain on you, then you have to do the work, and you're going to have to spend some money yourself. It takes money to make money. So, yeah.
How often do you post, and have you always posted at the same frequency?
So, about how often I post. Well, I do have a schedule. I do have a schedule. Let me just say that. So my schedule, I should be posting once a day. So every day I have it kind of designated to post on a certain topic or topics. It just kind of helps me stay organized with my content. And so, like, let's say Mondays will be event recaps or health and wellness, like our recipe or something like that, because I know generally on the weekend is when I have time to like try different recipes and take the photos and do all of that. Or that's when I normally would go to an event or something, or I'm traveling, for Eden Body Works or something. So I know like usually by Monday I should have all that done. So, and then every day of the week there's different topics. It just kind of helps me organize. It's not something that I make public to my audience. They probably don't even notice that there's a consistency there, but it just helps me organize. So that's how it's supposed to go. But then there's life, and how that goes. So, but I try to at least schedule things out. And if I don't do anything else, I post once a week on the blog. If I don't do anything else, I'm active on social media every single day. So even if there's not new content on the blog, there is some engagement with my audience, whether it be an Instagram post, Twitter, I'm on Periscope, I did a podcast episode. It's going to be some type of content being produced every week. They're not going to go and be like, where have you been? I haven't seen you. You haven't been anywhere. I'm somewhere, within that week. They have given them some type of content. But yeah, that's my posting schedule.
So, what is the first thing that you were able to monetize on that you saw that it came from your blog?
The first thing was events. That was probably the biggest thing. I actually I actually did an event to actually start Naturally Glam. That is what I did to get the money to start. I used that money to, you know, get my LLC, get my business license, you know, get my self-hosting, my domain. Like I used all of that money. I had an event. So that was the biggest thing. That was the first year of me blogging was events, because in my area there wasn't a lot of natural hair events happening. So it was a market that wasn't being tapped, and it wasn't being tapped in the way that I was doing it. Some people were doing like meetups and stuff like that, but people weren't really having like an event with like an expo or like vendors and hairstylists and a fashion show and all those things. They weren't really being done. And that's where I was in my natural hair journey. So that's why I kind of, like, I joke and say I was past like the kumbaya part of going natural, where you kind of just want to meet up with 10 people and them tell you that you're beautiful and your hair is okay, and screw that dude who says he ain't gonna date you because your hair is nappy. You know, like I was past that place. I was good. I had a hair routine. I wanted to have fun. Like I wanted to go from being a natural to being a naturalista. Like, what are the other things that a woman who has natural hair, there's other things that we're interested in other than how to do it twist out. Like we got the twist out. We got it. So that's kind of what Naturally Glam was, the whole basis of the website anyway, was the concept that there's more things that I'm interested in as a person with natural hair. So I know all of the other women with natural hair have these other interests too. And so that's what I brought with the events, because it didn't really matter about the blog. I was providing the content in way of the event. So when people would come to the event, then they wanted to read the blog, because they're like, oh, okay, that was fun. Now, how can I get more of this information? Okay, I'm going to go to her blog. And I may not work for everybody, but it worked for me because I was building an audience with events already. So that's kind of how I was able to bridge monetizing early on, was doing events, because that was the service that I could offer, was a bomb event.
Groovy. Hey, whatever works.
Yeah, so it worked good.
So you, I know last year you really grew your YouTube follow. Your YouTube subscribers.
Oh, wait a minute, you broke up a little bit. I didn't catch the question.
My EP told me we're having some technical issues over here. So your YouTube, I know you grew it recently, tremendously in 2015.
Right.
So how did you do that besides using great content and great and being consistent?
Actually, that is actually the formula. Like literally, that is the formula. I did not do anything fancy. I mean, I was already using iMovie, so that wasn't it. Some people think it's the editing software. I mean, editing software is great and all, but really it was just a consistency. I committed last year to uploading a video, at least one video every week. And that's what did it. There's nothing else that changed. Absolutely nothing else. I didn't do any fancy tricks with the videos, or I didn't promote it any type of way. Nothing. I just put up a video every week. And it just.
And what was the numbers you grew it from? It
started about 2,700 subscribers, and by I think maybe like 6 months later, I was at 7,000. So I just got to 8,000 maybe last month. I think I was so busy looking at it, and then I started working on the website and then totally missed it. And then when I went to go update my media kit, I was like, oh crap, I have 8,000. Yay! I've been waiting for it to cross over, because towards the end of the year, I stopped putting up the videos once a week. And of course, as soon as I stopped doing that, the number of subscribers started to slowly decrease. So right now, I probably gain about 150 subscribers every month. So it kind of went down because I was getting like maybe twice that, you know, and so that's how I was able to like grow it, like almost triple it in just a few months, just from doing the work. But it was a lot of work. Like there was days I probably wanted to cry. I did not want to edit a video. I didn't want to look at another video. I didn't want to look at myself. I didn't want to listen to myself. I didn't want to do it. But I said, I got to make a video about something, even if it's Nunu frolicking through the snow in a new sweater. It's a video going up this week. And yes, there is a video of Nunu frolicking in a sweater on my YouTube channel.
That's her dog, for those that don't know.
Oh, Nunu's the dog. Yes, she's a dog. She's not a real person. She actually is a dog, even though she doesn't believe it.
Well, that is cool. So then get these Instagram numbers to be so crazy.
Okay, so and Instagram was a little bit different. It was a little bit of a different strategy. For my Instagram, the strategy wasn't so much just being consistent, because I was already pretty consistent. I was already like, okay, yeah, post 3 to 5 times a day. I was already doing that. It was what I was posting. So that, I think, was the difference between what I did to grow the YouTube channel versus the Instagram, is because I changed the quality and the content that I was putting on Instagram. So before, I was using it just as everybody else probably used Instagram at first. You're sharing personal pictures. I share a little bit of blog pictures. I'll share a flyer here and there. It was very, if you went to my Instagram page right then, it was very just all over the place. And what I find is that when your Instagram is all over the place, it's very hard for people to kind of like get into it. Even if and some people do the theme, the idea where they try to create a pattern with their Instagram page. Some people do that. I do that. You don't have to, but the reason why it worked for me is because it focused me. It forced me to be strategic about what I was going to post, because like now I do the rule of threes, I guess what you could call it. So every third picture, and I try to create this pattern. And so there's a quote and then there's 2 images, and I kind of post in that rotation. And it forces you to think about, what are you about to post? You're not going to just post something random. You're going to post something that you feel like is epic, because you had to sit there and make sure, oh, I got to find a quote. Oh, I have to find this. So it made me be more strategic about what I was posting. The other thing I started doing was I started doing features. So instead of it being pictures of me or pictures of Nunu, because that's mostly what it was, I started to feature other people on the page. And I think that helped, because one thing with natural hair is everybody's hair is different, and people want to see their hair being reflected. So I wanted to post people with super curly hair. I don't have curly hair. I have type 4 hair, tightly coiled hair, kinky hair. And then there may be somebody that has type 3 hair. Like, while the type 4 hair need love, so does the type 3. And, what about fashion bloggers? Or, I just wanted to kind of open the horizon, because that's what I said the blog was for. I said it's supposed to be a resource for women, not just a personal blog. So I wanted my Instagram to reflect that, and it wasn't. So once I made that change and started really focusing on what is the brand that I'm trying to create here, and when I did that, the Instagram numbers, I mean, that was ridiculous. I set a goal in 2015 to have 10,000 followers on everything. It was crazy. I knew it was crazy. I thought it was crazy. This is not going to happen. But Miley set one ridiculous goal, like one goal that you just know you cannot achieve. And darn it, if you don't get close to it, I mean, even if you don't make it, you get close, you're doing good. So my ridiculous goal was 10,000 followers on everything. And next thing I know, I went from, I think, like 3,500 people on Instagram. It only took me 4 months to get to 10. It only took 4 months. I woke up one day and I had 10,000 followers on Instagram. And that's the only thing that changed was I started being very strategic about what I was posting and posting on that in that pattern. But I tell people you don't have to necessarily go with like the whole pattern thing. You don't have to do that. But your Instagram, it should be consistent, and you should feel when you go to that person's Instagram, you should feel that this kind of goes together. You should get something from it. Maybe you get, oh, this is a cool pattern. Maybe you don't get that. Maybe you get, oh, like I use this, I think his name's the Silver Beard guy. I use him as an example on Instagram because when you go to his page, you just get a feel that he's like this outdoor woodsy man guy with this cute beard, and he's dope. Like he's so dope. He has his own style, but like as soon as you start looking at his Instagram, you just get a feel. He doesn't post in a pattern or anything like that, but all of his images kind of tell this story. They kind of tell the story about who he is and what his brand is about, what his life is about. And that's how people should feel when they come to your Instagram page. I think when they do, they're more enticed to follow, because now they're not just following a picture, like a really dope picture. They're following this whole story that you're telling on Instagram through pictures. And I think that's what will get people to follow, because I see people that have lots of likes on a picture, but they don't have followers. Because people aren't interested in their story. They're only interested in this one cute picture that they had, but they're not really following you because of your story that you're telling. So I think that helps, try to tell a story and don't just look at the one picture. Look at, okay, when I go to this person's page, what is the story that she's telling? If people can't tell what story you're telling, then you probably want to change up your strategy for your Instagram.
Did you delete, or you just started one day and said, okay, this is what we're committing to and doing it from here?
I did. I didn't want to delete the pictures because some of them, that's probably the only place they are.
I understand.
That's probably the only place they are. And I knew I couldn't save them all on my phone, and so I'm like, I don't want to delete these pictures. But the thing is, I post so frequently that it would take somebody a long time to scroll back
to see
those pictures. So I'm like, well, it's okay. And I guess it shows progression. And, like I said, if you go to my Instagram, you have to scroll back so far. I mean, you have to scroll back over a year of pictures. It's just so many. I don't think most people would. So that's why I didn't delete them. But I know some people do. I know some people that only keep a certain amount of pictures on their Instagram, and that's it. But I'm not one of those people.
Is there a way, or do you track how your blog subscribers are coming? Are they coming from an event, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, YouTube, podcast?
I can see for my email list how people are coming. Like, and I know when I have events, of course, a part of them purchasing a ticket is usually that they have to put in an email address, and those people automatically get on my email list, which is why I think my email list is so massive, is because of the great events that I've had. I had that first year of my blog, so I had so many emails from that, and so that they turned into people that were reading the blog. I do track every month. When I update my media kit, I do look at my Google Analytics. I look at my I'm having a brain fart. I look at my Google Analytics. What is the other thing? I look at my YouTube. I look at all that, and I look to see where is the traffic coming from? Is it coming from Facebook? Is it coming from Twitter? Is it a certain a website that maybe my blog has been featured on that site and they're bringing me traffic? Because I like to send them like a thank you and say, because I have been featured on sites I didn't even know I was featured on. There's one site, it's in the UK, that I'm featured on, and I had no idea. And I looked at my analytics, and that was like a huge refer to my blog. So I sent them like a tweet, email, something. I'm like, thank you guys so much for featuring me. I had no idea. So I do try to keep track of those things every month and kind of see where was the traffic coming from. Do I see more people coming from Facebook, especially if I know I increased that, you know, if I focused on that for the month. That's something else I encourage people to do too. If they're feeling like they're just overwhelmed, is like focus on one social media platform for the month. It doesn't mean like leave the other ones, you know, to go out to pasture, but just focus on Facebook and try to, you know, try some things with Facebook, maybe try changing the time. That way you can kind of hone in on it and kind of get an idea of what worked and what didn't work, versus trying to do that for all of your social media and you're a one person show. Because most entrepreneurs, you're the team of me. And, you know, you're dragging your family and friends, you know, begrudgingly against their will to try to help you out. Most of us are doing it on their own. It can be overwhelming trying to keep up with all these social media platforms. So just pick one for the month and try different things. Do some A/B testing. Well, if I post at 5 o'clock every day, what happens? If I post at 8 a.m., what happens? These type of pictures do well. This type of picture didn't do well. And then at the end of the month, you can look and see, did I get any, you know, traffic from this? No. Or, oh, I got a lot of traffic when I posted this. And then that way you can know what to do the next month, what to leave behind or what to keep doing more of.
So when did you start doing your courses?
I started doing the courses in December of 2015 against my will. Against my will. But I'm glad I did. I'm glad. I think every and the same thing, every entrepreneur, you kind of feel like you're doing it but on your own. I think everybody needs a person or persons who will like tell you, no, you need to do that. You know, you need to do that. You need to get out of your own way and you need to do that. I mean, people have been asking me probably for the last 2-3 years, not necessarily to do a course, but can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? And I'm like, one-on-one, I'm helping different people. And then people are like, girl, you need to teach a course. I'm like, okay. But my friend Adia kicked me in the butt and she set the date and she set up the webinar and I had no choice because she was going to go live with or without me. So I'm glad she did because I love my students. They're so great. And I just love to see them kind of like take off and do their thing. And now they're teaching courses and they're doing coaching because they were afraid or weren't sure how to go about it. So to see them on Black Biz Scope, you know, talking about their products and services, I'm just like over the moon excited because, you know, they feel like they can do it. And I feel like I had some small part in that. And I just want to be invited to the party when, you know, they win. I just want to be on the yacht. That's all. Eating a crab cake.
That's really cool. That is really cool. So what other products or services do you have? And make sure you plug away whatever you have going.
Oh, okay. So I just relaunched my new site today.
Yay!
So those imaginary virtual confetti. So I launched naturallyglam.com again today, relaunched it. So it's new and improved. And with that, I had to redo the small blog big success e-course. So now it's truly an e-course. So it went from being a 4-week intensive for the low. My students were taking it more than once. That's how intense it was. I didn't think it was that bad, you know, because I was just trying to give everything I knew and everything I had, and I was just giving it all. And they were like, girl, I can't even receive all of this goodness. I need to take the class again. I had several people who would, the next time I would do the class, they would take it again. So I took that feedback and said, okay, let me scale it back because I know my audience for the course is somebody who's just now getting that feeling like, I really want to take this from just being a hobby to like really being something serious, but they're not really all the way. They just weren't ready. They weren't ready. And usually when they get the first week, they're like, oh crap, this is about to get real. Yes, it is about to get real. And so it was too much, too fast. And so I said, let me step back. So with the new blog also comes the new e-course. So now instead of it being a 4-week intensive, it's a 5-day totally email course. So every day once you sign up, you get a module. And there's a couple of downloadables in there. You also get the Blogging Brilliance ebook, which is an ebook that I helped co-write with some other fabulous bloggers. And it basically covers every gamut of blogging, well beyond even the things that I know. I mean, there's things that are about self-care to, you know, how to optimize your SEO and all types of stuff, how to enhance your YouTube channel in that book. So that course now is $29. People can go to naturallyglam.com, the new naturallyglam.com. You can go right on over there, and under blog biz. Oh, see, the website's so new, I don't even know what it's called. Hold on. Okay, build your blog biz. That's it. So you go to build your blog biz. When you click on that, you can just buy the ebook, which is the from blank slate. Can never say this. From blank space to blogging brilliance. You can buy that ebook. That's $9.99. Or you can sign up for the class, which is like I said, $29. It's totally electronics, totally self-paced. And with that, you get invited to my private Facebook group for everyone who signed up for the course. And in that group, every Sunday, I do basically a Facebook Live video. And I just answer questions and kind of do this strategy session right there with the group. So that's another perk to taking the courses. You get that. And for my natural hair people who just want to know more about natural hair, I have a free e-guide on the blog that is When Going Natural Goes Wrong. And it's all about all the things that people do screw up when they try to go natural and how not to do that. And it's totally free. You can just click on there, sign up, and you get the download for free. So that's what I have going on right now. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's that. Yeah. That's all my plugs. Naturally-glam.com, just like it says right down there.
Website's right there. Tell them your social media.
Oh, okay.
Handle.
So on social media, on Instagram, it's Naturally Glam on Instagram and Facebook. On Twitter and YouTube and Snapchat. I love Snapchat. I'm addicted. Snapchat on YouTube, Twitter, and Snapchat is Naturally Glam TV. Oh, and Pinterest is Naturally Glam TV too, as well. So there, you can find me in all those places. My Snapchat is totally not branded. It's totally it's just me
Random.
and the dog. Like you see me, the dog, and Mr. Blake's on my Snapchat. So it's not businessy. So the turn up happens on my Snapchat, but that's what Snapchat is for, because I saw that my audience, they didn't want to be totally devoid of my personal, but I didn't want to put that on the Instagram page. I want to keep the Instagram page, you know, very branded and focused. So Snapchat's fun. So I'm excited that I have like this sort of outlet that I kind of have fun and not be all businessy all the time.
So what are your goals with Naturally Glam in like the next 5 years?
My goal with Naturally Glam in the next 5 years, actually, my goal within the next 5 years is not even Naturally Glam. Actually, my goal, and then within the next 5 years, is to actually, I have another brand that I'll be launching with my mom, online boutique, and so that is where I want to go. Another thing I would love to do in the next 5 years, maybe, is open a actual brick and mortar, something in the beauty, whether maybe a small hair salon, maybe a beauty supply store, something small, not anything massive, just something small, more like a boutique-ish type of deal versus like your run-of-the-mill, you know, beauty supply store. something in my area. So I think about maybe doing something like that, but I'm probably I'm debating whether I'm going to continue to be a full-time entrepreneur and a full-time employee, because I am a full-time both. There's no side hustle. There's nothing's on the side right now. The only side hustle I have going on is trying to get to the gym. That's the side hustle. So that is the side hustle. That's the thing that your side hustle to me is the thing that, you know, you do when you have time. You do that when you have time. Your side hustle is like, that's like the side chick. You go see her when you get done with everything else. You know, that going to the gym is the side chick right now. It is the side hustle, but Naturally Glam is full time and my job is full time. I like my job. I'm one of those people who, I'm an entrepreneur. I have this thing that I want to do, but I also really enjoy my job. I also appreciate I feel like it fulfills a purpose. I work at a heart hospital. I work in administration because I'm not the person that takes care of patients, but I take care of the people that take care of patients. And I fulfill a purpose, my purpose in doing that. I feel like I've been doing it for years, and you know, it taps into something that Naturally Glam can't tap into, you know, seeing patients that are walking around with, you know, artificial hearts or heart transplant patients that come in, and like all of that. I'm a part of that process. So that is very meaningful to me. But I, today launching a new site, it's a feeling I had not felt before, which was, if I didn't have this job, I could really be enjoying this, but I couldn't really enjoy it as much as I wanted to because I was at work. So yeah, that was kind of pulled at my heartstrings a little bit today, but, so I think maybe that's where I see in 5 years. Maybe in 5 years, I'll be full-time, and this will be this will be the only full-time gig. It will be Naturally Glam, and, you know, whatever other businesses that, you know, me and my husband want to start, or me and my mom want to start. So I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jonna. You can find me at
Thank
Ask Dr. Renee
you.
on all social media platforms. Oh, you're welcome. And these tips that Jonna gave today to you guys. If you want to email me, you can always email me at renee.info. We have some really opportunity work. We have, if anyone's familiar with The Great Girlfriends, Brandy Henderson of too. I hope that you guys will tune in and watch and enjoy. And if you have anything for me or Jonna, hit her up. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening. Bye.
Good night.